administration and money for community health centers. This is not everything we wanted. Next, we need relief for states and localities, SNAP benefits, paid family leave and paid sick days, and the expansion of the child tax credit. Vote yes to continue working for people. Yield back.
The gentleman from Texas is recognized.
Madam Speaker, please yield 1 minute to a fellow Texan and key member of the Ways and Means Committee, Mr. Arrington.
Gentleman from Texas is recognized for 1 minute.
Madam Speaker, these resources are a lifeline to our fellow Americans whose lives and livelihoods have been turned upside down by no fault of their own. They aren't just numbers on some government spreadsheet. They're healthcare workers who rush to the front lines in this battle, risking their lives for our safety. They're family farmers, independent energy producers, and small businesses of all kinds who listened to their leaders, did their part, made their sacrifices, and stayed home, shuttered their businesses, all to keep their communities and their country safe. This temporary support will compensate them partly, but more importantly, will help them get on their feet so that they can keep their employees on the payroll and off the unemployment roll. These folks are the heartbeat of America. They are the lifeblood of this economy, and they, not the government, will lead one of the greatest American comebacks in our history. Madam Speaker, let's suit up, let's strap it on, and let's get America back to work. I yield back.
Gentleman from Massachusetts is recognized.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Please to yield 30 seconds to the gentleman and chairperson of the Veterans Committee, the gentleman from California, Congressman Takano.
Gentleman from California is recognized for 30 seconds.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. H.R. 266 provides billions of dollars in funding for small businesses, hospitals, and much-needed testing. This is a bill that works for the people, not just the favorite clients of the big banks. I have heard from small business owners in Riverside County who have struggled to receive the help they need after the original funds ran dry. This bill strengthens the Paycheck Protection Program by providing an additional $310 billion to help small businesses stay afloat. Further, this bill ensures that true small businesses, not large multi-million-dollar corporations, have access to these funds. I urge my colleagues to vote yes on H.R. 266. The well-being of the American people depends on it. Thank you, and I yield back.
Gentleman from Texas.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Please yield 1 minute to the gentleman from South Carolina, Mr. Wilson.
Gentleman from South Carolina is recognized for 1 minute.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. I support the legislation. I am grateful that President Donald Trump has succeeded with an agreement to address the destructive impact of the Wuhan virus. Our families, small businesses, and hospitals need this support to maintain jobs, now more than ever. The Paycheck Protection Program has been successful in supporting small businesses and maintaining jobs, already saving 30 million jobs. A real-world example of success was on Fox Business News last week, with Melissa Francis interviewing Bill Dukes of the Blue Marlin Restaurant in Columbia, praising Scott Hagler of the Security Federal Bank for saving jobs. This agreement will help families, but sadly there was a delay because of partisan politics, letting no disaster go to waste. In conclusion, God bless our troops, and we will never forget September 11th and the global war on terrorism.
From Massachusetts is recognized.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Let me yield 1 minute to the gentlelady from Florida, a very capable member of the Ways and Means Committee, Congresswoman Murphy.
The gentlewoman from Florida is recognized for 1 minute.
Madam Speaker, today's bill is a positive step and has my full support, but it took too long. Next time, let's skip the partisan games and just do our jobs. We must be aggressive and smart. We should spare no expense when it comes to testing, treatments, and vaccines, and we must support workers and business owners who bear no blame for this crisis. We should keep workers tethered to their jobs and to their health care. And aid should be swift and direct rather than through complicated and time-consuming programs. For workers who do lose their jobs, Congress has provided billions to support them. Sadly, this support has been delayed in states like Florida, whose unemployment system is marred by incompetence and indifference. Congress must demand better. Our country confronts a deadly serious crisis. As leaders, we must unite to combat COVID-19. My fellow Blue Dog colleagues and I will continue pushing for more bipartisan cooperation to get the job done for the American people. Thank you, and I yield back the balance of my time.
The gentleman from Texas is recognized.
Thank you. I'm pleased to yield 1 minute to a member of the Appropriations Committee, a fellow Texan, Mr. Hurd.
Gentleman from Texas is recognized for 1 minute.
Madam Speaker, 134,700. That's the number of small businesses in my home state of Texas that have received Paycheck Protection Program loans amounting to more than $28.4 billion. This money helps small business owners catch their breath, because they didn't have to fire their employees. This money prevented thousands from going on unemployment and standing in line at already overrun food banks. This money, Madam Speaker, has been a Band-Aid helping small businesses stop bleeding. This program has and will help many survive this moment of darkness. More funding for PPP will save jobs. More funding for testing will save lives. Let's get it done. No more delays. I am proud a solution to add funds to this program finally came about, but I'm disappointed partisanship delayed it. Our neighbors and communities are stepping up and working together to help one another. Congress should follow that lead.
Gentleman from Massachusetts is recognized.
Pleased to yield 30 seconds to the gentleman from California, Dr. Amit Bera.
The gentleman from California is recognized for 30 seconds.
Madam Speaker, I rise. We're in the middle of this global pandemic. This isn't a Republican virus or Democratic virus. It doesn't recognize the color of your skin or the country of your origin. It doesn't know what God you worship. We're in this together, not just as a city, a state, a country. We're in this together, all of us, and we will get out of this together. Let's find our human kindness and our better nature, and we will persevere, we will be more resilient, and we will come out stronger and kinder and gentler. With that, I yield back.
Gentleman from Texas is recognized.
Thank you, Madam Chairman. Please yield, Madam Speaker, please yield 1 minute to a member of the Financial Services Committee, the gentlelady from Missouri, Ms. Wagner.
The gentlewoman from Missouri is recognized for 1 minute.
Thank the ranking member. And Madam Speaker, I'm here today to call on colleagues to support the Paycheck Protection Program and Healthcare Enhancement Act, legislation that is poised to be a lifeline to my constituents in Missouri's 2nd Congressional District during this pandemic. This bill includes $310 billion in increased funding for the Paycheck Protection Program, a program that has helped keep open thousands of Missouri businesses, including Martha's Hands, a St. Louis-based healthcare home provider with over 200 employees. My office worked with Martha's Hands to secure these vital PPP funds so that they will be able to pay their employees and keep their doors open to help the most fragile in our community. There are small businesses and workers just like them all over that are dependent. They're the backbone of our economy, Madam Speaker. We fought to also include $75 billion for hospitals and healthcare providers so the frontline healthcare heroes are taken care of, and $25 billion for critical COVID-19 testing so we can better understand the spread of this virus, to save lives, and to have the confidence to reopen our communities. Thank you, Madam Speaker. I urgently ask everyone to vote yes on this legislation, and I yield back.
Gentleman from Massachusetts.
Madam Speaker, I'm pleased to yield 30 seconds to the gentlelady from Washington, Dr. and Congresswoman Schreier.
The gentlewoman from Washington is recognized for 30 seconds.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Today's bill is critical for small businesses in my district who are desperately waiting for this financial lifeline. The funding for testing is also critical as our country is woefully behind. We need 10 to 20 times current levels of testing to know who's infected and isolate them and to find emerging hotspots.
Xin chào mọi người.
Without that,
Bây
we
giờ
are
đây là
blind and we will see new surges.
tranh cãi của
Widespread
những
testing is
người
key
thành
to
viên
moving
trong Quốc hội
forward.
Hoa Kỳ của
Thank
lưỡng
you,
đảng
I yield
đang
back.
Gentleman from Texas
thuyết phục
is
nhau để mà có thể thông qua một cái gói cứu trợ 484
The gentleman from Montana is
484 tỷ để tiếp tục cứu trợ giúp cho những cái cơ sở thương mại.
In just 2 weeks after the launch, the program provided over 13,000 loans in Montana, totaling 1.4
Đây là một vị từ Montana đang nói chuyện. Ông nói rằng là cái gói cứu trợ trước đã giúp rất là nhiều người rồi.
quickly ran dry on this critical lifeline for small business and workers. The Speaker and the Senate Democrat leader Chuck Schumer stood on the sidelines and failed to work with Republicans to keep this.
Ông nói rằng ông Chuck Schumer là một cái người mà còn ở trong đảng Dân Chủ đã không có hợp tác với đảng Cộng Hòa để mà giúp đỡ trong cái lần trước.
At last, we're doing the right thing by small businesses and workers, but it's overdue. And it's been needlessly held up with partisan games. I urge my colleagues to stand with small businesses and workers today and pass the Payroll Protection Act, and I yield back.
Tôi đề nghị tất cả những đồng viện hãy cùng sát cánh với nhau để ủng hộ những cái cơ sở business nhỏ để mà thông qua cái gói cứu trợ này.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Utah families are suffering.
Ông này là từ Utah. Ông nói là những cái gia đình ở Utah là không biết là như thế nào để có thể vượt qua được cái thảm họa này.
And other essential expenses for small businesses, and it keeps paychecks coming for employees. We must make sure that this money makes it to the small businesses and hardworking families that deserve it.
Ông nói là chúng ta phải làm sao cho bảo đảm được cái gói cứu trợ này phải tới cho những cái cơ sở gia đình thương mại nhỏ.
And responsibly to reopen the economy. This is critical economic support. I support this bipartisan.
Bạn anh Nguyễn Duy Hoàng hỏi là trực tiếp, đúng là đang trực tiếp đấy.
Thank you, and please yield 1 minute to a member of the Financial Services Committee, gentleman from Kentucky, Mr. Barr.
The gentleman from Kentucky is recognized for 1 minute.
Ông Kentucky được nói 1 phút. Ở đây mỗi người chỉ được nói 1 phút thôi, cho nên họ nói rất là nhanh.
But until that happens, the Paycheck Protection Program is a lifeline. The first wave of funding delivered $350 billion in forgivable loans to 1.6 million firms nationwide, including over $4 billion to save jobs in my home state of Kentucky. For the Wells family at Green Tree Forest Products, the funds meant that they could keep their sawmill open and retain 93 employees.
Ông nói rằng là cho tới khi mà cái đất nước có thể mở trở lại thì bây giờ những cái cứu trợ này rất là quan trọng đối với lại những cái cơ sở thương mại nhỏ cũng như là gia đình của họ.
The company was set to lay off 30 employees. So it's unfortunate that some in this House dithered the last 7 days, making partisan demands after the program ran out of money and an additional 4.5 million Americans filed for unemployment. But today's replenishment of funding restores hope for workers, families, and business owners, including Dennis from Lexington, who has operated a car repair shop for 17 years, has 10 employees, but has yet to receive a loan. Congress must ensure that by flattening the curve, we don't flatten small businesses with it. I urge my colleagues to vote yes, and I yield back.
Gentleman from Massachusetts is recognized.
Madam Speaker, let me inquire as to how much time is remaining on each side.
Một vị ở Massachusetts, ông này hỏi là mỗi phía còn được bao nhiêu thời giờ nữa.
And the gentleman from Texas has 24 and a half minutes remaining. Massachusetts.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Let me yield 30 seconds to the gentlelady from Minnesota, Congresswoman Craig.
Ông này cho 30 giây cho
Minnesota is recognized for 30 seconds.
30 giây cho bà này.
Madam Speaker. I rise in strong support today for America and Minnesota's small businesses.
Tôi muốn ủng hộ một cách mạnh mẽ Hoa Kỳ và người Minnesota, những người làm việc, những cái cơ sở thương mại. Tôi muốn nói là cái gói cứu trợ này quan trọng đối với lại cái thảm họa.
By funding the Paycheck Protection Program and the Economic Injury Disaster Loan Program today to keep small businesses and the American dream alive.
Phải có gói cứu trợ này để mà có thể giữ cho cái cơ sở thương mại như là cái giấc mơ Hoa Kỳ vẫn còn tồn tại.
The gentleman from Texas is recognized for 1 minute.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. I rise today where we should have been a week ago when the Treasury warned us that the small business program needed refunding. It's a program we already authorized. It's a program that Americans need desperately to keep their payrolls whole during this crisis. But in predictable fashion, it was delayed. My colleagues will claim victory for this delay, claiming wins for additional funding, but they know that this vote today could have easily been agreed to last week. We are asking our grocers to stock our shelves, truckers to drive, and nurses and doctors to risk their lives, but Congress can't even bother to vote to help small businesses in time.
Chúng ta kêu gọi là các nhân viên y tế làm việc, các nhân viên xe tải làm việc, các nhân viên bán hàng làm việc, nhưng mà Quốc hội thì không có sẵn sàng giúp đỡ họ gì cả.
Free from cynical opportunism. Leadership means acting worthy of the people we represent. If we are to survive this historic crisis, we might collectively stiffen our spines and demonstrate.
Người lãnh đạo là phải giúp đỡ cho mọi người vào trong cái thời điểm này. Cảm ơn. Bây giờ chúng ta sẽ phải chấm dứt cái buổi từ tại vì tôi phải cần có một cái công việc phải đi ngay bây giờ.
Thank you, Chairman Neal. Madam Speaker, I rise to support this interim package. I've spent every day in my district speaking to constituents and stakeholders battered by this health and economic crisis. I'm grateful to Speaker Pelosi and Democratic colleagues who fought for additional money for small businesses, fixed problems we saw after the first round of funding, and added money for hospitals. I'm disappointed by Republican colleagues who refuse to include local and state governments, but we will keep fighting for them.
Bà nói là bà thất vọng với phía đảng Cộng hòa.
I yield back.
The gentleman from Texas is recognized.
Nói chung là cái gói này thế nào cũng sẽ phải được thông qua thôi, nhưng mà thông qua như thế nào và hai phía sẽ có những cái điểm lợi về chính trị như thế nào về cái gói này. Thế thôi, bây giờ chúng ta sẽ tạm ngưng cái buổi tường thuật ở đây vì một cái công việc khác sẽ cần phải có. Xin chào mọi người nhé.
People who are struggling through this crisis